How's it going, man? Today on OMO TV, we got a special guest here.
Young Pimp, Joseph Corleone, stopping in on my own for the movement. You feel me? Stay tuned. We're doing it real big, real live. You feel me? It's a life I chose, man.
Right on. Well, we got some questions for you today that everybody's been asking.
Okay.
So we'll get right into it. What made you go into music? What was that first, maybe your first experience with music that made you want to go and pursue that?
Okay. Well, when we were growing up, I think everybody listened to music, but as we were growing up, especially being young Hispanics, I found it kind of interesting, how to rap. I thought it was really interesting, I seen older people, family members and friends rapping, and I can distinctly remember my uncle rapping. I was around like 11, and he came into the room, he jumped on the microphone, and he said a few words, and I don't think they really even rhymed, but it was rap. And from that moment on, the moment he left the room, from that moment on, we were just recording, I was rapping, rap from there took its toll on me, I don't really think rap is negative in any way, but when you don't really have anything in the first place, to try to make something out of nothing, it's almost crazy, you know what I mean? And in my situation, not only because of where I came from or who I was, but just because, I should have chose a different route. I should have chose school. I should have chose, but to tell you the truth, you choose whatever you want. Music for me is a reminder that every time I do it, it's the life I chose. It's a lot deeper into that, But yeah, I think where I first got into music was from people around me, Not so much the radio. I didn't really listen to the radio. More so the people around me showing me music and wanting to share that with me.
Right. Well, how about let's talk about some influences.
Okay. Young influences, Too Short, Big L. It's gonna sound way off, but in some ways, Sade and Ashanti and things, because it's more soul and music than just singing R&B or hip hop. For me, it's all from the soul. It's not just rap. It's not just hip hop. It's not just R&B. It's music. It's music that speaks for the soul. So the list goes on, but from the top, Tupac, Biggie, of course, Jay-Z, anybody who has style coming up, but more so for me, I like thug music, I like Snoop Dogg, I like Too Short, I like Tupac, I like Death Row, I like old school music, but when I think about music back then, and I don't know if it's gonna come out wrong, but I just don't, it wasn't, for me, music was okay, but I seen something that I could do to make it better, or at least try to. So my influences really did inspire me. Not only just by me wanting to be as good as them, but for me to want to be different. Not many artists would say that. They have much inspirations that they look to. Not only for the artistic point of view, but for, I like learning from things, I like seeing where someone came from, like Tupac, he came from nothing, his mom was a Black Panther, he got scholarships or whatever to go to school, I don't really know, he went to a better school than a lot of us, and he got opportunities, he got sent to school for acting and all that stuff. He did rap, but to hear his story through his words, it's more, it's more direct, it's more intimate, if you want to say, because you really get to know someone. It's not autobiography or a documentary where someone's using your life to recollect, or someone's talking about your life and you saying it how you want it to be seen. You know, so a lot of my inspirations like Tupac and Big L, you know, I was listening to them because I wanted to figure out how I could bring my own specific style, you know, to light, you know, like everybody did. You know, Tupac, you know, he had his, he was more of a how do I say it, an activist. You know, he really wanted to change things, have a big voice, you know, and a lot of similarities to that. You know, I had it, you know, people like Too Short and something where he just didn't give a fuck. You know, all his music was just not really too well thought out. I mean, to me, you know, I mean, it was more, you know, street shit, more hip hop, soul shit, more thug shit, more, you know, this, I'm gonna say this shit because it's real. Then I'm gonna say this shit because, you know, this is how I feel, or this is how fucking, you know, a song needs to be written, you know. I mean, I use those things to bring myself. And although, you know, I mean, nobody's perfect, you know, I mean, I think even artists at their best aren't gonna be perfect. You know, it's a work in progress, but I still find new inspirations and new artists that I like, you know, that I look to for inspiration at times like that. You know. It's always new. You know, an open mind gets better, a closed mind gets older. You know, I'm trying to get better.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, always room for improvement. You know.
Yeah,
going on further in your career, you'll be able to, you know, have a new light on things, and maybe something else will inspire you that'll be coming up. You know.
Yeah. Always keep your eyes open. A quote that I like to reflect back to was a quote by Ray LeBron. He said, "You learn something new every day if you pay attention." So, you know, for the people who haven't really learned too much lately, maybe you're not paying attention, or maybe you're not paying attention to the right things, you know. And for people who really want to get better, you know, I'm not saying it's the only way to get better, but for people that really strive for success, I think they look for ways to find it in everything, you know, not just one lane, not just music, but everything, life, family in general, you know, work, you know, religion, everything, you know. Just try to, life is a struggle to try to get as good as you can be. You know, that's where I adopted, you know, Young Pimp. You know, coming up, I didn't really have too much, you know, I didn't really have my posse like that. You know what I mean? My mom had her issues, you know. And so, being a young Hispanic, you know, coming from these streets, Southern California, you know, you gotta develop games, you know, and that's all I got, you know. I mean, I figured out how to do things, but in the way we're speaking, you know, I really kept my mind open. It wasn't just one thing. It's not one lane, you know. You don't hear me saying, you know, I don't really put my finger on one style and say that's Young Pimp. I put my finger on who I am and what it is. You know, I'm a real individual, and the shit that I'm saying is real shit. You know, but I'm gonna go through a bunch of different things. It's not just one thing. You know.
Right.
So, you know, there's ways to get better. I mean, especially if you want to get better, you're gonna have to take time to appreciate others and your off time. Like, people don't really know that, you know, the best artists, you know, I mean, in my view, you know, on our downtime, we're actually spending more time being humble and giving other people their props and really appreciating other people's art, so that when it's our turn, we'll have a clear view of what we want to do. You know, it's not just us all the time. It's not just Young Pimp all the time. It's not just, you know, it's you know, that's where it goes into being real. You know, I'm not just about myself, I'm about others. You know, I lost my sister in 2010. You know, it's not just about me. You know, it's not just about one person. You know, it's the whole big thing. You know.
Yeah, that's all hip hop right there. It's all coming
Yeah,
together.
real talk. You know, I mean, that's why they say hip hop is a culture. You know, I think once you adopt hip hop as a culture into your life, you're part of the family. You know what I mean? For young kids like, you know, like me, you know, I mean, who didn't really have, you know, I came from a dysfunctional family, you know, I didn't really have a family, broken home. You know, I mean, I looked for something like that. You know, hip hop, that's what I found. You know, me being Hispanic or whatever, you know what I mean, held me back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But hip hop was all I wanted. You know, was all I knew. Was all I was. You know that.
Yeah, like you were saying, it's a culture, you know?
It's a culture, but my question was, you know, and it still is, you know. I mean, as a young kid, you know, I mean, there was a lot of different rappers, and you know, but I never really heard one, like a Hispanic one speaking, like a Mexican American speaking in the way I wanted to hear him speak. You know, it wasn't. It's not even about race or nothing like that. It's just that I know that I have just as much as talent as anybody else out there. And for someone who feels that way, if you really put your determination to the test and you really focus on your goals, you know, I think you can accomplish anything. And what I'm trying to prove to the world is a young Hispanic coming from the bottom, from nowhere, you know, can get to the top. I mean, with enough focus and enough grinding. I mean, shit, you gotta do it on your own sometimes, you know.
That's right.
That's where I'm at right now, you know. It's the life I chose, man. I'm on my own, you know, almost, you know.
You know? Well, thank you so much for that. We're going to take a real quick break. This is brought to you by OMO TV. Check us out on YouTube. #OMO Movement.
Almost.